I grew up in a middle-income family. Both of my parents had decent jobs, but they had 6 mouths to feed: themselves, me, and my 3 siblings. So we struggled a bit. Hand-me-down clothes were normal, and we often ate frozen and cheap meals. We only had a house because my grandmother left it to my dad. We lived in a nice neighborhood with families ranging from middle to high income. When I was born, the house next to ours was empty for a few years until a new family moved in. They had a son, John, who was my age. He was the only kid in the neighborhood my age, so even though he was homeschooled and I went to public school, our parents made sure we hung out together. His parents welcomed me, and John and I became close friends. Since I went to public school, I helped John learn to socialize with kids his age. His dad, William, appreciated this a lot, even though he didn't say it directly. Instead, he would send me home with food for my family and buy us small gifts. John's mom, Margaret, didn't like me as much. She thought William was too nice to me and not nice enough to their son. She made snide remarks and tried to stop William from giving me things. But he wouldn't listen and sometimes gave me even more just to spite her. This caused a lot of fights between them, which made John withdraw more. After months, I got him to open up to me when we were 13. We grew closer over the years, and I developed feelings for him, but never acted on them. When we were 17, John came to my house looking very upset after a huge fight with his mom. He told me she had said something really hurtful, but he couldn't bring himself to tell me what it was. I comforted him and reminded him to not let his anger ruin his relationship with his family, not knowing the full truth of their situation. After high school, we both went to the same college. I attended classes while John did distance learning. I had saved up enough money from working since I was 16 to rent an apartment with a bit of help from William. This allowed John and me to spend more time together without our parents around. Eventually, we realized we had strong feelings for each other and started dating. My parents were thrilled, while John's parents had more neutral reactions. William calmly congratulated us, and Margaret grunted in disapproval. We decided not to focus on his mother's reaction. After graduating college, John proposed to me and we got married within the year. I felt like I had won at life. My childhood best friend was now my husband. He was there for me from the start, and I loved him deeply. After we got married, John traveled a lot for work. He didn't want me to be alone, so he asked me to move in with his parents. I was hesitant because his mom never liked me, but John convinced me. "I don't know about moving in with your parents. Your mom's never been a fan of me." "I know, but we'd have our own space, a whole floor to ourselves. I want you to be safe, and being with my family will put my mind at ease. It's almost like living alone. They could visit, or I could visit them if they want." "All right, if it means that much to you, I'll give it a shot. But I hope it doesn't make things worse." "Thanks, babe. I promise I'll do my best to make sure everything goes smoothly." I knew his reasoning made no sense, but I agreed to make him feel better. Plus, my parents lived next door, so I could always go there if things got tough. The next month, we moved in with his parents. Quickly, I realized John hadn't been completely honest. I wasn't going to be alone with his parents. I'd be alone with his mother, Margaret, whenever John went on business trips at his dad's command. This meant I was stuck with the woman who hated me for days or weeks at a time. Margaret mostly made rude comments and sometimes didn't make food for me, even after asking what I wanted to eat. I'd usually be too tired from work to care. So I'd make a quick meal or order in. As long as I stayed in my room, nothing major happened. One day, John called and asked me to find a file in his office and scan it for him. While searching through his messy drawers, I noticed one felt different. It had a false bottom. Curiosity got the best of me, and I opened it to find a paternity test. It showed that William wasn't John's father. I was shocked. I never questioned John's paternity because he looked just like his mother. I wondered if William knew. Before my thoughts spiraled further, I took a picture of the test, put everything back, found the file John needed, sent him the scans, and went to my room. I spent hours trying not to think about what I'd just learned. I wanted to talk to John, but I preferred to do it in person. Just as I started to calm down, Margaret knocked on my door. "Come in." She entered with a scowl. "Yes, how can I help?" "Spare me the act. I know you found out our secret." "What are you talking about?" "Don't play games. I saw the false bottom open. I know you read the document." "Fine, you got me. But tell me, does William know?" "That old geezer doesn't know a thing. If he did, we'd be on the streets. All he ever wanted wasn't here. I got away with John not being his only because John looks like me. How could you deceive him after all he's done for you? Spare me your moral judgments. I'm not the only one betraying him. John's in on it too. He's used to this lifestyle and won't let it go. That can't be right. What if I tell William everything? Oh please, you think you can ruin our game of pretend? I'd make William believe you're lying to cause chaos. He'll choose us over you any day. You won't get away with this forever. The truth will come out. Save your fairy tales for someone who cares. Good luck with that. She walked out, and my heart pounded. Margaret had answered all my questions. I was disgusted with both of them. How could John deceive the man who raised him? How long had he known? Did he feel any remorse? Would he go along with Margaret's plan to leave me? I barely slept that night, consumed by my thoughts. The next day passed in a haze. William had returned from his work trip, and I couldn't look him in the eye because of how guilty I felt. I wanted to tell him everything, but I knew that if I tried, Margaret would find a way to turn the tables on me and make me the bad guy. That night, William asked the three of us to have dinner together. I silently ate my food except when William asked me questions about work. At some point during dinner, Margaret brought up wanting to go on a vacation with John. William, I've been missing John, and I think it'll be a great idea for us to go on a 2-week trip to Italy together. John has been working hard. He does deserve a break. Doesn't John have a lot of work commitments? I mean, I'm no expert, but won't his absence affect the business? Please, William managed the business for years before John joined. A short break won't hurt. That's true, and John could use some time off. All right, you can go, and I'll handle things here. Thank you, dear Maria. Why don't you join them? Oh, that won't work. It's supposed to be a mother-son bonding time. Besides, I feel like a third wheel. Well, what do you think, Maria? Would you like to join them? Oh, she probably has her own plans. Don't worry about her. Let's allow Maria to make that decision. I knew why Margaret wanted to go on this trip. I was about to say that I wasn't okay with it, but I felt a sharp kick in my shin. I winced in pain as I realized that Margaret had kicked me under the table. I looked at her and noticed her sharp glare. I wanted to tell on her so badly, but I knew it wouldn't lead anywhere. Then I had a brilliant idea. I could use their time away to tell William everything. So I shut my mouth and nodded that I was okay with the trip. Margaret looked satisfied, and William told her she was free to go. That night, I called John and asked him about the trip. Are you going on this trip with your mother? Yeah, I don't really have a choice. That's not true. You do have a choice. You can choose not to go along with her plans. Everything is so messed up, and honestly, a lot of it is because of you. What do you mean? How is any of this my fault? If you had respected my privacy back then, none of this would have happened. There's a reason I didn't tell you about everything. When did you even find out you're not William's son? Remember a couple of years ago when I came over to your place really distressed because of a huge fight I had with my mom? Yeah, she dropped that bomb on me during that fight. Did you consider telling William about it? I did. I even threatened her to spill the secret, but she laughed it off, saying if I told William, he'd throw us out. So we're stuck keeping this secret. Now that you know, I can't keep you around anymore. Did our relationship mean anything to you at all? Of course it did. But when you found out about the secret, I knew I had to let you go. Your strong conscience could ruin everything I've been working for. With that, he hung up the call. I couldn't believe this was the man I had loved. Was this always a part of him, or had he become this way out of greed? I cried myself to sleep that night, feeling betrayed and heartbroken. How could he let go of me so easily? I had treated him like the most precious thing, while he saw me as disposable. I woke the next morning fully ready to take revenge. John had returned home that morning and silently packed his bags for his vacation. He and Margaret were set to leave in the afternoon. I didn't spare him a glance. My heart hurt, but I knew I was doing the right thing. William had gone on another short business trip for the next 2 days, so I had to wait for him to come back to start my plan. After John and Margaret left, I busied myself by looking through their stuff. Unsurprisingly, the false bottom in John's drawer was empty. Margaret must have gotten rid of the file. It was okay though, I had a picture of it. I waited to collect evidence of what John and Margaret were up to, and sure enough, John posted stories on his private Instagram account, which only his closest friends and family followed. He posted stories of him going on dates with multiple other women and even posted a story thanking his mother for introducing him to so many wonderful women. Even though my heart was breaking and anger was boiling under my skin, I took screenshots of every story. Then I called William and told him I had an emergency and needed him home immediately. William assured me he would be home by nighttime. True to his word, he showed up by 9:00 p.m. He hurried over to me and asked if everything was okay. I told him that I was not okay and revealed the real reason why Margaret and John had gone on that trip, to find John a new wife. William looked shocked and asked if I was serious. I showed him the screenshots. William's shock turned to anger and disgust. He stuttered as he asked why they would do this. I told him I had something important to tell him but needed him to sit down for it. He sat down and fearfully asked what I had to say. I took out the printout of the picture of the paternity test and showed it to him. William sat there silently for a while, processing what he was reading. I gave him some time before telling him everything I had found out in the past few days. William's hurt turned to anger. Without a word, he called up his banks and canceled his credit cards, knowing that Margaret and John depended on them for their travel expenses. He also canceled John's office card, so they had no money that way either. Once he was done, William felt slightly calmer. I apologized for throwing everything at him at once. "I'm so sorry, William. None of this should have happened. There's no need for you to apologize. I never imagined Margaret could go to such lengths. I'm glad this revelation happened while I'm still in control of the business. What are your plans now?" "I'm worried John and Margaret might try to come back. I've made up my mind. I'm going to divorce Margaret and remove both of them from this house. I'm with you on the divorce. I'll also file one against John. I'll move out too." "No, Maria, you're not going anywhere. If you're willing, I'd like to pass the business down to you. I've always seen you as a daughter, and I trust you to carry on her legacy." "William, I don't know what to say. I'd be honored to continue what you've built." "That's settled then. We'll make this right together, Maria." The days after that were filled with sadness and anger. William filed for divorce, and so did I. Margaret and John tried contacting us, but neither of us picked up the calls or answered the texts. William managed to pull some strings and got us both restraining orders against Margaret and John. When the calls got too annoying, I finally picked up. "What the hell did you tell my dad, Maria?" "I haven't said anything to him." "Then why are his cards canceled and our numbers blocked? What have you done?" "I didn't tell him anything. I just showed him the proof." "That's impossible." "I burned it all." "Not everything. I had enough evidence. I took a photo of the document you thought you destroyed. You're heartless for doing this to us." "Huh? You're the heartless one. You and Margaret chose to keep this secret from William. You have to face the consequences of your actions. You're tearing our family apart." "No, you're doing it. It's the truth that's finally coming out. It's time to take responsibility." I hung up the call and blocked John and Margaret. In the weeks that followed, William and I sent our divorce papers to our respective partners. William had all of John's and Margaret's things packed and put away in a storage facility. He gave them 1 month to show up and take their things, or they would have to pay to keep their belongings there. I quit my job and began focusing on working with William. It was hard for both of us to forget everything that had happened, but we knew that at the end of the day, we still had each other. I began to enjoy work, and the benefits I got from working with William were only a bonus. So that is my story. Thank you for listening till the end. I hope that no matter what life throws your way, you always remember to do what's right, because you never know how life will reward you.